Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Gizmo Joe. Today we're going to be taking a look at a M.2 solid state drive enclosure from Inateck, which gives me Office Space vibes. But anyway, basically this enclosure is one of the cheaper ones that you can get on Amazon Australia. And you know, it's got halfway decent reviews. And so I figured I'd pick it up because I've got a solid state drive that I need to chuck in here. And yeah, anyway, if we take a look at the packaging, obviously it looks like this. It's aluminum, so help with heat dissipation, I suppose. It's not the most attractive case in the world, if I'm being honest, but like I said, it was cheap and it had pretty decent reviews. So the model on this guy is the FE2025. And like I said before, it's made by a company called Inateck. I'd never heard of them before, so you know, your guess is as good as mine. But basically, if we look at the back here, basically it's got some, you know, import information here. So I'm not sure. This says Germany, whereas the UK Inateck Technology. So I'm assuming maybe it's a British or company. I don't know. I've never heard of them. So if anybody knows, definitely let me know in the comments. But all these things are made in China anyway. But yeah, these guys, like I said, are fairly inexpensive. About, I think, $27 is what I spent on it. But you can find them occasionally with coupon codes and stuff like that. Get a couple bucks off. But I don't know why, but in Australia, there's just not very many of these guys available. Whereas if you go to Amazon US, there seems to be a lot more variety in terms of the different brands. Anything else in here? Nope. That you can get. Anyway, so here's the actual unit itself. You can see that it's pretty small, but I'm going to actually set that off to the side for now, and I want to take a look at what's in this box. So basically, this just says Inateck/support. Thanks for choosing Inateck. That's always nice to see. Now, how the heck do I open this? Let's see what's in here. So I'm assuming it's just the USB cable and probably some instructions or something. And let's see, there is something in here. Alright, so we've got our installation guide. Now, I think this is going to be pretty easy, self-explanatory, but it's nice that they include this anyway. So what you can see here, it's not a sandwich type, it's one of the slide cases, it looks like. So you hit this sort of release button, I guess. Oh yeah, you can actually press that. And then I'm assuming that the black part of this case will just slide right out, and then you can chuck your SSD in there. We'll do that anyway later on in this video. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Basically, you've got your like little, I don't know what you would call these, but I think they're like little clips or something to hold your different size SSDs in there. Now, just quick, as an explainer, your M.2 SSDs, if you don't know what they are, but they're basically like a little stick of gum. That's basically, that seems to be the form factor. Anyway, they make them in different sizes. They're basically different physical lengths. So what you got to look for on your M.2 drive is essentially a series of numbers. It's like a pair of numbers. So you got like a 2280, I think, and the 22 is the width in millimeters, whereas the 80 is the length in millimeters. And you get a couple different sizes, but I think 2280 is probably the most common. That's the one that I have. That's the one that we're going to be chucking in here. But if you have a shorter one, smaller one, you can use this as well. You just need to use one of these like little spudger things and put it where it needs to be to make sure that it's nice and secure in the drive. Anyway, let's take a look at these cables. So we've got a USB-C to USB-A, and obviously that's USB 3.0, so that's good because M.2 drives are blazingly fast. And it also comes with a USB-C to USB-C cable. So nice that they included both cables. They're fairly short, as you can see, but I'm sure they do the job. Anyway, I'm going to check all that stuff off to the side for a second, and let's just open this up here. Here we go. Alright, so chuck that off to the side here. Basically, it's just got the model number down here. It says made in China, It's got a serial number, and then it just says Inateck on the top. It's not very heavy, but it is made of aluminum, so it does have a bit of weight to it. If I push this in and pull this out, okay, so like you can see here that the outer casing is just all aluminum, and like I said, they use aluminum because it's good at dissipating heat away. Now these M.2 drives tend to get pretty pretty hot, so we've got to make sure that everything's cool. Now, all right, so here's, let's see, so, sorry guys, I'm just looking at this for the first time, so I'm a bit confused as to what's going on. But that's where you would essentially slot your M.2 drive. So it's going to sit right in there. Now I should mention that there's different keys for an M.2 drive. All the ones that I've dealt with in the past, and it seems to be the most common, is what they call a B key, I believe. There's also an M key, which looks a little bit different. You got to make sure that whatever enclosure you pick up supports your particular drive. Most of them are pretty good. They'll have like a diagram that tells you like, hey, if your drive looks like this, then you can go for one of these. But anyway, so just a heads up, you want to make sure that, you know, if you buy an enclosure, it's actually going to fit your drive that you have, so you just need to do a little bit of research. But anyway, so it's going to slot right in there, and you're going to pop it down, and I'm not really sure how this works. I've never really seen one like this. I think these guys sort of clip in here, so these little like spudger things, they sort of clip in here to keep the drive itself secure. So like I said, if you have different sizes, you would, you know, that's where you're going to put it. Anyway, it looks like it comes with a little bit of a heat sink here. It looks like I have to apply it myself. So basically we're going to attach that. Then obviously it's going to sit on top of the M.2 drive like so, and help with that heat dissipation. Again, M.2 drives tend to get very, very hot. So we want to make sure that it stays as cool as possible. But once this guy is all ready to go, and like I said, I'll grab an SSD in a second and we can check it out. You basically just clip it back in here. It's going to sit like that, and you can use that USB-C port right there to connect either to your computer with a USB-A, or you can connect again with another USB-C. So, you know, fairly basic, you know, pretty self-explanatory, but you know, handy to have if you've got some spare M.2 drives, or you want to clone an M.2 drive. Now, that's my situation right now. I want to clone my install of Windows from a 256 to a 512 or a 500. And, you know, if I didn't have this, in order to do that, I'd have to, because my motherboard only has one M.2 drive slot, I'd have to, like, clone it to a hard drive and then re-clone it onto the new drive. It would be just a mess. So I picked up one of these to make my life a little bit easier. Anyway, let's grab the spare M.2 drive that I have and install this guy. Okay, so we've got my M.2 NVMe solid state drive. It's 500 gig. It's a Crucial P2. Like I said, I want to use this in my desktop computer, so I need to clone the existing M.2 that's in there because it's only a 256. So anyway, let's open this guy up. Like I said, the M.2 drives kind of look like a stick of gum. So if you've never seen one before, this is what it looks like. And that's it right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to line this up with the slot on the Inateck enclosure. And I think I said before that this was a B key. I'm not even sure. Just like I said, just check your documentation here to make sure that it fits. But this one is definitely going to fit. Now, let me just slide that in. So it slides in like that. Now, this is a 2280 length, which is the maximum length for this particular enclosure. It also supports, I believe, 2242 and 2260, and that's what you need these little fixators for. So if you had a shorter, physically shorter M.2 drive, you would need to take these and then essentially install them here to prevent this guy from bouncing up and down. But this one, because it is a 2280, should just sit flush by that little tab there. So there you go. Totally secure. It's in there. Alright, cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our heatsink, which is this little guy here, and we're just going to lay him on top. And you know, this material is a bit sticky, so you know, but you should be able to reuse it. So you know, it just apply a little bit of pressure, like so if you want to swap the drive out of here or whatever. But we're going to lay that on top, and what that's going to do is that's going to, like I said, the M.2 drives get very hot, so that's going to help pull the heat away from the drive itself and into the aluminum casing, which will then dissipate into the rest of the air. So anyway, so that's what it looks like when it's all said and done. Our drive's in there, it's ready to go. And basically we just slot this guy in like so, and click it in, and it's good to go. And so like I said, you just use your USBs just right there, and obviously right there, that little pinhole is an LED indicator. So when there's power going to this particular device, you'll see that light up, and I believe it's blue. But yeah, anyway, that's the Inateck enclosure. Okay, so I've got the M.2 enclosure with my crucial 500 gigabyte solid state drive connected to my ThinkPad Gen 3, or sorry, the E14 Gen 3. It is connected via the USB-C cable, and as you can see on my screen, I'm just using Crystal Disk Mark, which is a fairly basic sort of benchmarking software. It doesn't go into too much detail, but you can see sort of the read and write speeds. Not fantastic, for an M.2 drive, but again, for my purposes, I'm using this to essentially clone a M.2 drive that's in my current PC build. So I'm not super concerned with, the speeds, as long as it does the job, and it seems to be working just fine. Now, I will say that I'm just holding this, and you can feel the heat on this guy. So, it's not terribly hot, but it is warm, I would say. So, definitely these M.2 drives generate quite a bit of heat. So you want to make sure that if you opt for an enclosure, you want to get one that is aluminum to dissipate that heat out. But as you can see, the little blue LED there. Anyway, so yeah, I'm pretty happy with this, considering that M.2 enclosures tend to be somewhat of a rarity in Australia, and this is one of the cheaper ones that you can get that still gets decent reviews. I'll leave a link down in the description in case you guys want to pick this up, but by and large, even though it is a little ugly and it's a bit bulky, it does the job. So anyway, that's going to do it for this episode of Gizmo Joe. Thanks so much for tuning in. Give me a like, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps me out. Anyway, this is Gizmo Joe signing off.